The Orange Town arc starts with 3 pirates from Buggy's crew that come upon Nami stranded in a boat. She asks them to save her in exchange for payment, but when they climb onto her boat for her treasure, she steals their ship, leaving them stranded in the ocean. Meanwhile, Luffy and Zoro are hanging in their boat, drifting at sea, and both of them wonder why they do not have any navigating skills. Suddenly, however, the boat is rocked and Luffy's straw hat blows off of his head, fluttering around through the air. Luffy frantically reaches for it, and Zoro catches it before it lands in the water, which triggers a flashback showing Luffy's past. Young Luffy is in a bar filled with pirates, the crew of Shanks. Shanks makes fun of Luffy for being a kid, though Luffy thinks he's a man. A bandit, named Aguma, then kicks down the door and walks into the bar, ordering some sake. The bartender, a girl named Makino, says that all of the sake has been sold to the pirates in the bar. Shanks offers him a bottle, but Aguma smashes it, claiming he is a wanted man with 8 million on his head. He storms out of the bar, and all of the pirates start to laugh. Luffy gets angry that Shanks did not fight back against Aguma, and in a huff, he spots a purple fruit in a small box, the Gomu Gomu no Mi, and eats it. When Shanks notices this, he holds Luffy upside down and orders him to spit it out, but it's too late and the effects have already set in as Luffy's body stretches. Shanks tells Luffy that he just ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi, a devil fruit, and now he is a rubber man and will not be able to ever swim again. Later, Luffy finds himself in trouble when he gets attacked by Aguma and his bandits outside. Makino sees this and runs to the mayor for help, who yells at the bandits to stop. Aguma decides he will kill Luffy, but then Shanks and his crew arrive. One of the bandits points a gun at Shanks' head and orders that he stay still, but with insane speed, Lucky Roo shoots the bandit through the head and kills him. Everyone gasps in shock as Shanks explains that they are dangerous pirates. More bandits charge at Shanks, but Ben Beckman steps forward and swings his rifle like a club, taking them all out. Beckman quips that if the bandits were truly serious about fighting them, then they should have brought a battleship. Aguma, frightened, throws down a smoke bomb and makes his escape and taking Luffy with him. He flees out to sea in a boat, where he throws Luffy out into the water. Luffy, having eaten the Gomu Gomu no Mi, cannot swim and is about to drown. As Aguma laughs at Luffy's plight, a big sea monster comes up behind him and devours him in one bite. The sea monster then goes for Luffy, but Shanks stops the sea monster as it takes a bite, and with one look drives the beast away. Luffy clutches Shanks and starts crying since Shanks' arm was bitten off by the creature. Shanks replies that it's fine, as long as Luffy is safe. Later, Shanks and his pirates pack up their ship, ready to leave. Luffy decides he will become a pirate on his own and go on a great adventure. Shanks gives his straw hat to Luffy and tells him to return it when Luffy becomes a great pirate and they meet again. The pirates then sail away as the flashback ends. Back on their boat in the present, Luffy spots a pink bird in the sky and decides to eat it. He launches himself at it using Gomu Gomu no rocket, but the bird grabs his head in its beak and flies away. Zoro paddles after it in a fury and comes upon the pirates that Nami left stranded earlier. They try to take over the boat, but Zoro gives them a beating and they end up having to row instead. The pirates mention that they are members of Buggy's crew and that Buggy has eaten a devil fruit, making him one of a kind. The bird, by this time, has flown over a nearby town. In the town is Nami, seen fleeing from Buggy's pirates with a map of the Grand Line. Buggy orders that the bird in the sky to be shot down, and when it does, Luffy comes hurtling down. Nami and Buggy's pirates watch in shock as Luffy lands in front of her, and he stands up, saying it was an interesting experience, Nami then pretending that Luffy is her boss, using the distraction to escape. She watches as Luffy takes out Buggy's pirates with a Gomu Gomu no pistol, and so she asks Luffy to join her. Luffy declines, but Nami decides to treat him to lunch, so he goes with her. While eating in an empty house, Nami says that she will stop at nothing to collect 100 million, and Luffy finds out she is a navigator due to her mentioning that she stole a map of the Grand Line from Buggy. When Luffy asks her to join his crew, she refuses because she hates pirates. Nami ties up Luffy and brings him to Buggy as a gesture of goodwill, and Luffy is thrown into a cage. Buggy then throws a party for Nami as she returns the stolen map and asks to join his crew. During the party, Buggy demonstrates the Buggy Ball, a massive cannonball that destroys a whole row of houses. He then orders Nami to blow Luffy up with a Buggy Ball. Nami cannot bring herself to do it, but one of Buggy's pirates takes the matches and goes for the cannon, which results in Nami taking out her wooden staff and knocking him out. The fuse is lit though, but Nami grabs the fuse with her bare hands to put it out. Buggy's goons attack her, but Zoro arrives and saves the day, knocking them out. Buggy recognizes Zoro as the pirate hunter, and so he attacks him. Zoro cuts Buggy into pieces, but Buggy's hand floats over to Zoro and stabs him in the side. Buggy gets up, his body whole again. Buggy explains that he ate the Barabara no Mi, allowing him to separate himself. Luffy calls Buggy a coward with a big red nose, infuriating Buggy, who throws a knife at him. Luffy catches it between his teeth. Zoro then dashes at Buggy and the two enter into a heated exchange. Zoro slashes through Buggy's midsection to get past him, and he runs to the cannon, flipping it so that it points at Buggy and his crew. Nami lights the fuse, and so the cannon fires a Buggy bomb right at the Buggy pirate. As the smoke of the Buggy ball's explosion clears, Zoro, wounded, picks up Luffy's cage and drags it all the way to a nearby pet shop. He collapses soon after, barely conscious due to his blood loss. Luffy spots a small puppy in front of the shop. Nami then arrives and tosses Luffy a key to the cage, but the puppy swallows the key and Luffy strangles it to get it back. The mayor then arrives and orders Luffy to leave the dog alone. He brings the wounded Zoro to his house so that Zoro can sleep. The mayor then returns and explains to Luffy about the dog, named Choo Choo, whose master died. Choo Choo and his master were very close, but the mayor knows that Choo Choo must have realized his owner is dead. Soon, Buggy's first mate Moji arrives riding on top of Richie, his giant pet lion. Whilst questioning Luffy about Zoro's whereabouts, Moji attempts to tame Choo Choo, but gets bitten instead. Choo Choo stands up to Richie, attacking the lion, but is quickly batted away. Richie then turns on Luffy's cage and smashes it, sending Luffy flying into a building. Choo Choo continues to fight against Richie and protect his owner's legacy, but takes a severe beating. Luffy watches Choo Choo fight valiantly against the lion, and soon the pet shop goes up in flames, destroyed. Luffy gets angry, and when Moji and Richie confront him again, he uses Gomu Gomu no Tsuchi to drive Richie into the ground. Seeing Luffy as a devil fruit user like his own captain, Moji begs forgiveness. Noting that an apology won't get Choo Choo's treasure back, Luffy beats the tamer into the ground, knocking him out with one punch. Moji returns to Buggy, and when Buggy hears of the loss, he orders that the whole town be destroyed. A Buggy ball is fired and the mayor's house is destroyed, but Zoro is miraculously fine as he wakes up, standing atop the rubble. The mayor decides to go fight Buggy, not heeding the advice of Luffy, Zoro, and Nami. Luffy and Zoro decide to go fight Buggy and his crew as well, and when Luffy asks Nami to join them, she says she will join temporarily as they share a common goal. Meanwhile, Buggy orders that a second Buggy ball be fired, but the mayor arrives and stops it. He challenges Buggy, but Buggy's hand grabs him and chokes him. Luffy then arrives and pulls Buggy's hand off of the mayor. Zoro and Nami arrive just as the mayor declares that he will protect his town, but Luffy knocks him unconscious. After Luffy calls Buggy a big nose, Buggy orders that Luffy be blown to smithereens with Buggy balls, and the cannoneer opens fire. Luffy uses Gomu Gomu no Balloon to bounce the bomb back at them, blowing up the building that the Buggy pirates are standing on. Buggy, however, protects himself from the explosion by using two of his men as a shield. Kabaji protects himself with Richie, making Moji angry, and he attacks Kabaji. Kabaji sends him flying with a kick, and Luffy then knocks Moji out of the air. Buggy orders Kabaji to kill Luffy, but as Kabaji charges on his unicycle, drawing his sword, Zoro blocks the attack, claiming that he will be Kabaji's opponent. Kabaji and Zoro quickly begin their duel. Kabaji takes advantage of Zoro's earlier wound and kicks him repeatedly in the side, which makes Zoro falls. Zoro gets up, refusing to lose, and the fight continues. Kabaji uses a series of carnival tricks, and he charges right at Zoro, slashing him in the side. Zoro stays standing as Nami decides to leave. Kabaji uses a series of tops as a distraction before riding up the side of a building, leaping off of the top, and descending rapidly with his sword pointed down at Zoro. Buggy then launches his hand to grab Zoro's foot and hold him, but Luffy stomps on Buggy's hand to stop it. Zoro leaps out of the way of Kabaji's attack just in time. Meanwhile, Nami sneaks past a drunken pirate and starts stealing Buggy's treasure, knocking the drunk pirate out when he finds she is there. Zoro gets up to face Kabaji one last time, and they charge at each other. Zoro uses Onigiri to take out Kabaji with one slash. He then collapses, and Luffy says he will take care of the rest. He and Buggy prepare to face off, and Buggy says how Luffy's straw hat reminds him of a man he hates. Luffy realizes this is Shanks, and says he will pound the answers to his questions out of Buggy. Buggy draws his knives and uses Bara Bara no Cracker, but Luffy narrowly avoids it. Luffy retaliates with Gomu Gomu no Pistol, but Buggy dodges it, leaving Luffy wide open. Luffy then uses Gomu Gomu no Sickle, and Buggy uses Bara Bara no Escape to dodge yet again, sending Luffy smashing into a building. Luffy emerges from the rubble, and Buggy uses Bara Bara Cannon, knocking back Luffy. Luffy becomes livid when he finds that his hat has been nicked. Buggy realizes the hat is precious to Luffy, so he attacks again, this time managing to stab right through the hat and take it. Luffy remembers his past with Shanks, and yells at Buggy to return his treasure. Buggy then expresses how much he loathes Shanks, and that he will curse him for the rest of his life. Buggy claiming he can call Shanks whatever he wants. His flashback begins with a young Buggy and Shanks in an argument about which of the North Pole and South Pole is colder. After being separated by another crew member, their pirate ship attacks another vessel. Buggy cuts down one of the people aboard the vessel and finds a treasure map in his shirt, and he keeps the map a secret. Later, after a party, Shanks and Buggy sit together, and Shanks mentions how he will start his own pirate crew. He then tells Buggy about the devil fruit and its value, so Buggy plans to steal it. Buggy eats a fake devil fruit in front of everyone while keeping the real one hidden so he can sell it for 100 million. However, Shanks finds him and surprises Buggy, so Buggy jams the devil fruit in his mouth. After being surprised again, he accidentally swallows it. Buggy is livid about swallowing the fruit, and as he yells at Shanks, his map flutters into the water. Buggy dives in after it, but he can no longer swim, so Shanks saves him. Present time. Luffy says that Shanks saved Buggy's life, but Buggy refuses to accept it and says his plan was delayed for 10 years. His upper body then separates and rises up, and he spots Nami stealing his treasure. He goes after her, but Luffy kicks Buggy's lower body in the groin. Buggy collapses, and even more frustrated after he hears what Nami has said about keeping his treasure for herself, he uses Bara Bara Festival, his body parts flying around everywhere. Luffy grabs one of his feet and tickles it, pulling on it, really messing Buggy up. When Buggy attempts to rejoin with the rest of his body, his head, feet, and hands come together, but the rest of his body parts are tied up by Nami. Luffy then uses Gomu Gomu no Bazooka to send Buggy flying, and he is defeated. The townspeople, led by Poro, come and find much of the town in ruins, and Boodle unconscious, so they turn on Luffy, Nami, and Zoro. Luffy mentions that they are pirates, so the townspeople chase after them. However, when running down an alleyway, Choo Choo stops the townspeople by barking at them. Luffy, Nami, and Zoro come up to their boat and Nami's stolen ship, and the Buggy's crew from before emerged from the ship. When seeing Zoro, however, they flee. Nami jumps into her stolen ship while Luffy and Zoro get into their boat, and they sail away as a new crew. As they are leaving, the mayor comes to, scolding the townspeople for chasing away Luffy and his friends, and he yells thanks to them. Nami then becomes angry with Luffy when she finds out he left behind half of her treasure to help pay for the town's repairs. Zoro laughs it off, while Nami tries to drown Luffy for being too kind. In another location, we see a familiar long-nosed young man standing proud.